Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some might...
It's a lot of fire.
It's a lot.
I stopped a war.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman.
Rachel, I gotta ask you right off the bat, I have not had a chance to interview Skyler yet today. That's later. Who's the better reporter in the newsroom? Is it you or is it Jimmy?
Lois or Jimmy, or me and Skyler? Very important distinction.
Well, go Lois and Jimmy for the sake of the movie.
Not even a question, Lois. But in real life, I could listen to Skyler report on the Daily Planet set all day long.
It's so fun seeing y'all interact at the Daily Planet. Then obviously we have the scene that's already gone viral. The movie hasn't even come out yet where you're interviewing him as Superman. What was y'all's backstory as far as your relationship starting? Was there a meet cute?
Very well documented one.
I think we can't tell you that. I think that's because for all we know, it might get explored in a future film. But we did have.
I've been saying it.
Well, not in specifics.
Not too specific.
Yeah. But so the cool thing is like getting to start in the middle of the relationship. We did get to discuss that with James and talk about possibilities. And I don't think James had really settled on the specifics before we came in. So we got to talk about it and kind of explore it together, the three of us.
Made him settle with me. Privately.
Because I'm watching Lois and I'm like, did she fall in love with Superman first or Clark first?
I can't wait to see that come out on screen. So if you've been talking about it and ruining it, my gosh.
Sorry. Well, James had thoughts about it. I think I was like, it's got to be more specific for me.
Yeah. It's important when you're skipping it in the movie to know, what happened in your mind.
Yeah.
Maybe we have different ideas of what happened.
I would love for us to. We probably do have very different ideas.
It'd be a fun newlywed game to have you show. Right, yeah.
Exactly.
See how different it is.
Bring out the whiteboards.
It was so great watching y'all have that interview scene because I felt like in the midst of this massive, wonderful comic book superhero movie, I got to see a stage play. And I'm curious about like the rehearsing of that. Was there a lot of rehearsals for that, or was it pretty much, we want this to feel raw and sort of unscripted? We want to make it feel authentic. How did y'all pull that off as actors?
That's a great question. I don't remember. We definitely talked quite a bit about the scene, but I feel like we didn't rehearse it until that first day of shooting, right?
We had auditioned with that scene.
Right, but the scene that we auditioned with was, although on the page it was the same scene, the setup of the room was completely simplified for the screen test, and the complexity of the geography of Lois's apartment in the film is part of what keeps the scene interesting as we're moving around it. But I think we had 2 days to shoot that scene. And I think, as is usual, you start with a blocking rehearsal where you kind of find the scene. It was probably a longer blocking rehearsal than normal because it's 10 pages.
But we've been talking about it like a stage play. That's kind of what it felt like. The first 2 days shooting in Atlanta, we shot that scene, and it laid this really sturdy foundation underneath this relationship, underneath these two characters that we got to carry with us. We got to try so much stuff, and there was something really wonderful about how intimate it felt in a movie of this scale. We all came in with these ideas of what it would feel like to be in a giant action movie superhero blockbuster, and suddenly it felt like we were doing a play, and that was pretty special, fun.
David, can you tell me what was your favorite part about your fight with Ultraman?
The baseball field was amazing. That was like intense because we were outside in the elements. It was hot in those suits. We had Eddie Gathegi and Gabby as well, so it was all of these different fights going on at the same time. It's so cool to get to have a fight in the movie. It spans so many different locations. We've seen a little bit on the baseball field, but it's a big fight and it's got many phases. So that was some of the fun of it, was getting to keep working through it and try to build the stakes of it and play the exhaustion of Superman, who sort of has met his match in this foe and is really put on the back foot. And that was just a really cool place to shoot a bit of a fight and a bit of a scene as well.
I'm on the fence about this, so I need to ask y'all. We're just going to go down the line. Anthony, I want to start with you. Justice Gang, cool name or no?
I think it's a cool name. I'm open for whatever. Just happy to be included.
Okay, good. Easy, loose answer. Isabela?
How do you feel saying it?
It sounds pretty awesome to me.
Okay. Well, then it's awesome.
Nathan, I'm pretty sure I know your answer.
My character feels one way about it. I think it sounds a little unofficial. It sounds a little casual. I think it could have more weight to it. Justice Society sounds a little more integral and put together. The gang sounds a little ragtag.
And this is what I like about it, because it's not the Justice League International. It's not the JSI.
Right.
It's the ragtag upstarts who have just been thrown together under a corporate banner. I like the name.
Was there any like backstory given to y'all by James, or did y'all just show up on set and like, hey, how do you think we all kind of came together in this universe?
You got those questions? I don't know.
We didn't really cover that. We didn't really cover. We knew we were under Lord Tech's umbrella.
Yeah.
We had a corporate sponsorship. How did you come to the Justice Gang?
I was scared to ask. I wasn't sure like what I was supposed to already know. And so I used to never ask.
We're trusting the process.
This is totally behind the scenes.
We trust the filmmaker. We know he's not going to lead us down a path that, we wouldn't want to go willingly.
We know how Metamorpho gets in.
Yeah, I just showed up.
That's right.
And then I had lines.
Kind of like a
Yeah.
practical
To say-
audition.
Yeah,
Like a practical.
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, metamorphosis is literally part of your name. What was your favorite shape to sort of shift into?
Can I throw one in?
Yeah, please.
I have my own name for this one. I call it Tentacular.
Tentacular. Yeah, love that. Love that for me.
I love that name, and I also love Nathan's delivery of the name. Tentacular.
So where does
Tentacular.
Yeah.
But it's also tentacular.
Eddie, you have so many great lines in this movie, and it's almost like the lines really help inform the audience about your character, like right off the bat. Do you still say some of those lines to yourself just to kind of pump you up? I mean, if I had that line, I would say, I'm damn Mr. Terrific every morning.
I do say that. I am a blank slate. I don't remember what I say in the movie. I'm going to see it for the first time at the premiere. It'll all come rushing back to me, and probably for a couple of weeks, I'll know the lines again, and then I'll move on to the next job.
It was like studying for a test where like you just have the short-term memory, and then as soon as you're done taking the test, it's out of there.
If you do plays and you're doing 8 shows a week and you're doing that for an extended period of time, those lines will stay with you for the rest of your life. But movies, it's kind of like one and done. You're with it for a small period of time, and then you're on to the next thing.
Yes.
Nathan, for you, I'm curious about your character, Guy. We'll see more of him in Lanterns, but do you know where you rank as far as the Lantern hierarchy?
If you have an emergency and you need, someone to come and wield one of the most powerful weapons in the universe, you want to call a Green Lantern. You say, we need a Green Lantern. And then they say, you're going to get Guy Gardner. You'd say, crap. Of all the lanterns, that's the last one you want. But at the same time, if you're one of the Guardians of Oa and you need some dirty work done, you go right to Guy. Hey, we need you to do this thing. It's a little unseemly. He's like, I'll do it. No problem.
Mainly with the help of Hawkgirl.
Exactly.
You save Superman's behind multiple times in this movie.
Behind every powerful man is Stephen a more powerful woman.
With wings.
Is that the saying?
It's a version of that, yeah.
I don't know. I think Hawkgirl is there, and she's reluctant, but I think she has a truth that she has not shown, and that's what I like. I like, she's keeping her cards close to her chest. She's sort of mystery.
She's a very different kind of hero.
She's a very different kind of hero, for sure. I have my theories as to why she is the way that she is, but I also don't kind of want to know. I kind of want James to reveal it to me. But for now, I really, really love her dynamic with the Justice Gang. And I love that these two really piss each other off in this movie.
It's a beautiful working relationship that you two have, but really, I mean, watching once Anthony kind of joins the team, all 4 of you kicking ass on screen, it's almost like y'all feel like you could have done this job without Superman. Is that the truth, or did we need Supes a little bit in this movie?
The movie is called Superman.
Yeah.
It's called Superman, but who's doing the dirty work?
No one approach can get the job done at the end of the day. You need a group of superheroes, a team.
A gang, if you will.
Gang, if you will. And thank God that we're exploring a universe that's already populated with a bunch of superheroes.
Yeah, Superman has a lot of powers. One of them isn't being everywhere at once.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
But he does have the ability to drink the ocean.
Right.
Let's do that one.
Those planets.
Salty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super sodium.
We've been corporatized, though, haven't we? We have.
Yes, legitimately.
You didn't ask that question?
What?
You didn't ask that
Yeah,
question?
we are corporate sponsors.
We are. No, we are. I did ask that one. I kind of assumed when we were matchy-matchy. But yeah, Superman has the freedom, if you will, to have his own little glyph So he kind of guides us in this journey and inspires us to step out of our comfort zone. And we all do. We all have our own little moment of coming to Jesus and saving these people, you know.
No matter what you do to me, Luther, your plans won't work.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
James, I love the way you set Superman up in this new movie where he's the Superman that audiences have come to know and love for decades, but this Superman is not perfect, and a lot of times he needs help. Why was that important to establish right off the bat?
Well, because I wanted a Superman that people could relate to, and I wanted, I think one of the things that interested me about telling a Superman movie was to take the Superman that I loved and all the iconography associated with Superman and be completely true to him, but just get to know him a little bit better, like examine his interior life a little bit more. And I think this comes at a time in Superman's life when some things he believes about himself he finds out aren't true. So at the heart of this is a personal story.
And watching this movie unfold right off the bat, it's a smart thing you do because there's so much information to sort of convey to the audience about what the backstory of all this is. And we get a nice little blurb. Why was that information important to convey to the audience?
We're entering this whole world and universe of superheroes. I didn't want to have to show him, landing in a rocket ship again. I mean, for the 5 people on planet Earth who don't know that Superman came from Krypton, I'm sure there's someone that doesn't know that. But I can explain that away with a sentence, but also let people know this is a world that's different than our world. This is an alternate reality where metahumans have existed for a long time, where there's magic and sorcery, and Superman has existed for a few years. So I don't have to get into all that stupid stuff, through too much exposition.
It's the minutia of it but I'm sure we're all fans of this stuff too, and we come from that world. And so when you sit down to craft a movie like this, is the first day, is it just so overwhelming? Like, how do I put all of this stuff that I love into a movie? Are you losing your mind, or did you feel like you knew where you wanted to go with this? Right,
I knew exactly where I wanted to go. And so, I think that by the time I get to set, most of my work is done. I've storyboarded every frame of the movie. I've gone through the script again and again with people I trust giving me notes and taking them into account. Feel like by the time I get to set, I know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going next. We happened to shoot the beginning of the movie, the first thing. We were in Svalbard in Norway, and it was shooting the shot of David lying in the snow as the camera's coming down and into him. We see the blood in his mouth and he whistles. That was the very, very first shot. We got through pretty quickly, and I was so stoked.
Yeah, we're ahead already.
That's right.
He has a lot of help in this movie, as I pointed out. A lot of that comes from the Justice Gang. What makes them a Justice Gang, and how do we get them to a league? What's it?
I mean, we'll have to keep watching DC movies to find that one out. But they certainly aren't a league yet.
They are not a league.
I don't even think they're a gang. They're just a disparate group of people that dislike each other working for their corporate master, Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, why was it important to establish this justice entity with these core characters first?
Because I like those characters. Because I like Hawkgirl and Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific. And so I'm like, put those guys in a movie. I love those characters. So I think it was really about just taking characters that we haven't normally seen on film and putting them in movies.
As a fan of both pop and punk music, what is it about the Crabjoys? Can you describe to me the Crabjoys and why they're the perfect band to illustrate Clark's music fandom?
Well, the Mighty Crabjoys, are a fictional band that perform music that is the really sort of sellout pop punk bands of the very, late 90s, early 2000s, things that I would have scoffed at, frankly.
You're more of a Lois kind of guy.
Yeah, but I'm very much more like Lois. I would have been like, we're not talking about the Sex Pistols or Clash here. We're talking about, I don't want to put any bands down because
right.
Honestly, some of those bands I've come to appreciate. I'm much less judgmental of music than I used to be. I've come to really love all types of music, and there's bad bands out there, but there's also a lot of great bands that play with, in genres that maybe people don't always respect as much.
And it's fun to attach something that we associate here with Earth that's like ours with some being like a Superman.
That's right.
Who himself is a metahuman. Can you describe to me like what a metahuman is in your universe?
First of all, I don't think anyone completely agrees on what the term means. Basically, it's superhumans. I would not think of Batman as a metahuman, but you know what? Like Mr. Terrific and Lex Luthor are so smart. There might be a genetic anomaly happening with those guys. Lex couldn't possibly be a metahuman. Mr. Terrific, because he works with all these other things, you know, you could possibly think that he's a metahuman. I think it really is dependent on who the person is and what it actually becomes important as we go further in our story in Peacemaker and other places, what a metahuman is exactly.
Superman. The most powerful being on planet Earth. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
It's a thrill to get to talk to y'all. So I'm so curious as to how much of the backstory of The Day We Planet that James gave you, or did you make that up in your head, specifically in terms of Superman and how you broke the news that there was this being Superman now on Earth?
He gave us great direction on, you know, how we were going to approach it. And then we also did our own deep dives. And what happens with that is you find out some curious things in the whole canon of the Superman world that, for me, I did not know. And then I used it. It was kind of, it's a part of why I'm always grumpy, which is Lex Luthor had an affair with my wife. And my second son may be his. And so I thought that was the most unique thing I had ever heard about in the Superman world. So that is my driving force in this whole movie. You know, I want to get to Lex Luthor because that's the guy who slept with my wife.
We need to get him on Maury. Wow, that's incredible. Mikaela, for you, how did you approach playing this character and their relationship to Clark Kent in the newsroom?
I went back and looked at all the comics and where Kat originated from and what she was about. She came from Hollywood and, you know, had a husband and a son and was just over all of it. And I think that Clark, for her, you know, in the comics, he's everything that she's ever wanted. He's pure, good. He's a little unsure of himself, which I think she loves because she's been around these narcissistic men. Her and Lois are in the comics, like kind of go head to head. But in the movie, you don't see much of that. So hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah, Clark's so wholesome and good, and Beck, it's got to be fun to bully Clark Kent in the news just a little bit, right?
It's the best. It's always so fun to play a filterless character who just says whatever he wants, especially when they're like things you're not supposed to say, you know?
Yeah, where does that come from for you? Like, how did you approach playing that character beyond just like, I'm just going to give this guy some guff day in and day out?
There's so many different iterations of Steve. You know, he started out as like a football player, and the first time we see him in the comics, he's like going to the Super Bowl after spending a night with a couple women and saves a baby falling out of a window, breaks his knees. You know, like it's a crazy story. I mean, for me, he was great athlete in high school, went to college to try to play, didn't make the team, and he's got this like chip on his shoulder. He's like, he sees himself as an athlete, he sees himself as the cool guy, but he's not really. So when he sees, you know, this sort of dorky guy getting all, you know, front page news and being celebrated, he's like, you suck, dude. You got nothing. Like, you're lame. Like, you know, that's where it comes from. He's really like, he feels overlooked. And so that's kind of the backstory that fed into just like letting it rip with Clark.
Yeah, and Skyler, it's so fun watching your Jim because he's really crafty. He's a good reporter. Who's the better reporter in the newsroom between you and Lois?
Lois, no question.
Okay.
Rachel, she did the like coming into production. She had spent months with real reporters and like learning the tricks of the trade and had immersed herself in that world. And so she was kind of like the person on the group project who does like 99% of the work. So from day one, I was like, great, I'm following your lead. You can tell me what to do. And that kind of is our dynamic in the movie. So it all worked out.
And Wendell, for you, I love seeing your version of Perry. Was there an inspiration beyond just the different iterations of Perry that we've seen before for you playing that character?
Since I was a part of this fraternity of a group of very disparate men and actors who have done it. I wanted something that connected us all, and that was the cigar. That's the first image you see in the comic. One image that you have, and think of Perry in this movie, that you would see that cigar. And it shows you the times. He's not smoking it because you can't smoke in the building. But you show his rebellious nature by, well, I can't smoke it, but I'm going to always have it.
What did you feel like Perry's biggest concerns were in reporting the news as it relates to Superman specifically?
That we wouldn't have any impact, that some sort of some content creator would get a scoop on us, or that some other platform, and how can the newspaper still be of great importance and all. And my suspicions about this new guy that I brought on, Clark Kent, are driving me. I think I'm suspicious about who he is and the connection there. So it actually has added some fuel to the fire and keeping the paper alive.
So for the month this movie takes place, who's Employee of the Month? Is it somebody I'm looking at, or is it somebody not currently in this room?
Not currently in this room. It's Lois. Lois she's our girl. Yeah, man, she's the one. She's the one.
We finally meet. Now, as planned, I'll destroy you.
I'm so curious to talk to you about your powers in this movie because, fingers are cool, blades are better. So what was it like on set having that? How did that work on set?
They had real blades with the actual size that mine were going to be, so I could rehearse, because if I had to load up and then do this, I would, decapitate myself. So I needed to rehearse with that so it looked okay and it was safe for engineer to do all of the things. That was really, really cool. But more than that, the blades and all of that was like real imagination. But with James, we came up with this kind of language where, how does it feel to transform your body in different things? So is it tickling? Is it feel like bees? Is it painful sometimes? So yes, when she connects to the computer, for example, it is kind of like an intimate relationship with the machine. She is part machine, so it's kind of like a sexual encounter that she's having. It was really funny on set because the way Nicholas was reacting to it was like, oh, that was good, great.
We were like,
So it's really interesting. For me, it was important to bring it back to my body to make it real for me, so hopefully it could be real for the audience.
That's intense, man. Just because watching it, you're running through every emotion, it feels like, in that sequence. So where it goes from oh, this is enjoyable, I'm gathering information, to I can't handle what's happening.
It's a lot because it's alien technology and it's something that she's never encountered before. So it's interesting, it's exciting, but it's also scary and dangerous. But that's right up engineer's alley.
Sara, for you, Eve is so sweet. I like Eve so much.
is, right?
And people are going to be asking this question, all the nice guys out there, well, I'm here. How does she fall for a guy like Lex Luthor?
He looks like Nicholas Holtz first.
That helps.
And then he's obviously a very powerful, rich man. And I don't think Eve comes from money. And I think she likes the lifestyle that he provides for her, and also the stability, feeling safe, because he has all the money to keep her safe until he doesn't. It's when bye.
That's the problem with dating supervillains. Until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't.
Not a great Instagram boyfriend. You're taking most of those selfies.
By myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But hey, he takes me to all these beautiful places. My gram is popping, Who's popping?
Was there a meet cute backstory that y'all had that you and Nick came up with, or that James conveyed to you, as far as how y'all actually got together?
It wasn't really necessary. I created for whatever to give me my intentions with the character. We don't really get to explore much of our relationship in the movie.
Was
either.
it a dating app? He's probably in a dating app. That'd be a twist.
He could have been on one of the higher end ones, right?
Yeah, we probably met at some party, and he won me. If I was to guess.
That's fair. Yeah, he's in the background of one of your selfies.
Probably been like, who's that?
I'll tag him. Angela, for you, what's it like fighting with Superman? What are you going to take from that battle? Decades from now, you look back, what are you going to say?
It was dreamy. No, I'm not only fighting Superman, I'm beating his ass.
You're kicking some ass in here.
Really. And I feel like that's the thing that I love the most about my character, that it truly is a formidable foe for Superman because he's so powerful. He's the most powerful man on the planet. But then Angela is also pretty indestructible and she can become anything she wants. So it was a really interesting match with Superman and David. We had this really crazy and challenging stunt that we were sliding and then we had to like turn over me, and it was very difficult and we rehearsed for months, and when we were on set it was raining, and I remember asking David like, hey David, what do you need from me to make this happen? And he's like, just let it wash over you. It'll happen, trust me. He's not normal, he is Superman. So yeah, no, it was the best. I'm gonna take with me that it was one of the most fun experiences of my life.
Y'all both serve such an important purpose in this movie because, like, you're one of the badass villains who's taken it to Superman. And for you, Eve is one of the primary sources of comic relief. So how did you feel on set, like, how far to take it? Because there's so much serious stuff going on in this film. How are you able to make the comedy, like, hit so note perfect like you did?
Well, it started with a brilliant script from James. You know, he's the best at what he does, and the script already had everything there. I didn't have to do much. But on set then, James just gives you so much freedom, and he's just always with his microphone and be like, he thinks of a joke and be like, now say this. And then you say, and then you can hear him laugh. And it's just like that collaborative. You kind of do a few takes just as a page, and then he just makes you try different things. And, you know, one of the scenes, like we just really kept going for like 10 minutes and it's just fun, and you just kind of it gives you that kind of freedom, but because it gives you such good bones from the script, it just makes your life easy.
And lastly, just for both y'all real quick, what do you love most about this version of Superman?
That it has a lot of heart. When I watched the movie, at the end of it, I told James, it makes me feel hope for humanity. It makes me feel, because, you know, oh, humans are the worst. But when I watch the movie, I go, we are inherently good. And we need to tap into that. And it's there, and I can see it, and I can feel it. So when I see this movie, I'm ready to take action in my life and go out and be a better person. So, and that's not easy to do because he's also not preaching while he's, you know, when we watch the movie. And it's fun. So I think it's such a good movie.
Yeah, I think everything that she said, and also I love the fact that it just feels like a comic book put into the screen. And I just love the colors, and I just love that it's like light, but it has heart, it has humor without losing its foundation. And I remember when I started, I was like, this feels like I'm watching a comic book, which is like, yeah, that was the thing that I like.